Hello everyone! Today I'm going to teach you the basics of profit trading. Obviously I'm not a pro and it's based on luck too, but there is somewhat a logic behind it and I will be trying to explain it. While luck is a big part of profit trading too, there are other factors that play into it. For example, server hopping, asking them to name a price, figuring out the best price, etc. Regarding server hopping, obviously, if you stay in the same server, new people keep coming into it, and often it feels like if you just keep sending a message, it will eventually lead to someone trading you. While this is true, it is not as efficient as server hopping regularly. So when I have a specific plan of items I want to buy, I will scan the server for anyone wearing and or trading them, or anyone who looks like they would have the items. In that case, I will stay in the server and trade them or wait for other people to join that might have the items. However, if I join a server and I see that there is a low chance of someone having the items in question, I will stay for a few minutes and then just server hop. Sometimes there is the issue that Royale High keeps putting you into the same server. In that case, you should just either rejoin the game completely or block someone in the server and rejoin again. Another important thing is getting the other person to name a price. Not only is there a chance they might name a price lower than what you had in mind, you are also less likely to get declined for naming too low a price. Once they have named a price, there are 3 possible scenarios. They named a price below what you were going to pay, in case you will obviously accept, but it's important that you don't say something that will seem like you accepted too quickly, and will make them second guess their price. For example, sure, or I will do that much, is likely going to make them second guess. Something like, oh, I was going to do that or a little less, but that works for me too. Might make the other party feel more comfortable in their price choice. Second scenario is that they named a price that's way above the price you were going to pay. In this case, I assume that they want an offer that's a clear win for them, so there is not really a big point in trying to negotiate it down. In this case, I usually say something along the lines of, I'm sorry, I was going to do something like insert price, but I completely understand if you pass. Because in the best case scenario, they will either try to name a price a bit higher than yours, or they will just agree with your price. But they're very likely to just decline the offer, and that's completely okay. Third scenario is when they name a price that's average or a bit lower. In that case, you could respond with, oh, would you go any lower? Or something along those lines. If they reply with, I'm sorry, insert price is my lowest, and it's a non-profitable price, then you can just pass. But if it's a profitable price, then you can just agree to that trade. If they offer slightly lower price but still not profitable, you could ask them to go even lower, or you could say, I'm sorry, I was going to do something like insert price, and they either accept or decline. The point is, you have a price in mind, but you act accordingly on the price they offer. Now there is also a chance that they will ask you to name a price and insist on it. This is risky, but you can still make an offer. So I usually have a price in mind if it's an item I'm specifically looking to buy. In that case, I will go 30,000, 50,000, or 100,000 lower than the average price, depending on the demand of the item and the value. However, there are 2 things to note when naming a price. 1, make it known that it's not set in stone. 2, don't name your highest price right away. Regarding the first point, this is so that they don't back out of the trade and you still have room for negotiation. For example, I'm not sure how much it's worth, but I was going to do something like insert price. Assuming they ask you to do a bit more, you would do that price but adding like 10 to 15,000. Once again, depending on the value and demand of the item. Regarding the second point, it's very likely that they will ask you to go higher. So you have to start low. Not low that they will decline your offer right away, but low enough that you have room to negotiate. If they keep asking you to add until it's no longer profitable for you, I usually just decline. In that case, they will either also decline or they will take your last offer. Essentially, you're just trying to get the best price, but not to the extent that they decline your offer because you're lowballing too obviously. This topic is a little bit more tricky since I don't have a clear system for figuring out a good price. Like I mentioned before, I usually go 10 to 20 to 100,000 below average price, but it's not always that linear. I always try to go low enough that I can ensure a profit, and in the worst case scenario, I can minimize my losses. For my example, I'm going to use current values as of writing the script. Example 1. Steampunk corset. On Tradery, the cover prices are 129,000 and 160,000. Obviously this is not as helpful, so we need to see how much people are offering. If you click on this image, make offers, and click it until it's crossed out with a line, then you will see how much people are pricing it for in diamonds. The first step is to see how much people regularly want for it. In this case, I see quite a few listings for 170,000 or 160,000. The next step is to see if people are offering this much under the listings. In this case, not a single listing has an offer of 160,000 or let alone 170,000 under it. So that means we can't expect to sell it for that much. We should aim to sell it for 155,000 or 150,000. But first we need to check how much people are offering for it in the looking for tab. In this case, roughly people are offering 120,000 or 130,000. They are likely offering this much because it might work due to one of the cover prices being 129,000. However, if we check the listings that say they're looking to buy it for 150,000, you can see that two people already offered the steampunk corset for 150,000. So it's unlikely that we will get a super easy trade out of this one. So looking at this stuff, the value we can assume is that we should sell it for 150,000 to be safe. Obviously we could aim for higher up, but that's a risk I'm unlikely to take. The following step is to check the demand. If you click on listings that people made, you can see how many people are offering. If you need to scroll far to see any listings with an offer under it, it's easy to assume that this item doesn't have the best demand. But if you find an item where every listing has one or more offers, then it's likely to be an item that you will not have trouble with trading. Lastly, we have to use all the gathered data and figure out a profitable price to offer. In this case, I would start at 105,000 and then stop at 130,000. If they ask you to go higher than 130,000, then there is no real point in attempting to profit off of the trade. I also stay quite low from the average price for security. Obviously, it's partially to get a profit, but it's also just in case that the item starts to drop in value. In that case, I could just sell it for 130,000 again. I would not have made a profit, but I would not have lost either. I would also like to clarify that the numbers mentioned in this section of the video will not always be accurate. This is just as of writing the script. Once the video comes out, it's likely that you will find the values to be different. This varies all the time. For example, in my last video, I was mainly trying to trade Goddess of Triumph items, Steampunk items, Snowswan sets, or Starlight sets. At the time, these were the most ideal to trade with. Their demand allowed me to have a sense of security that they wouldn't decrease right away, and their value allowed me to get a high enough profit. As of writing this script, the Goddess of Triumph set is about to come back, and the Steampunk items are slowly decreasing. Since it's almost Halloween time, almost all items decrease in value a lot. I will go into that a bit more later, but essentially at the moment profit trading is risky, because a lot of stuff is decreasing. I have been relying on luck and opportunity a lot lately, but I explained earlier how to know which items to trade for. I use Tradery for this since it's a little easier to find the data than asking around. I would like to give a quick disclaimer that this doesn't always work, and I'm likely to have false data and get a bad trade. It just happens sometimes, but it's completely okay to get a bad trade. So to get a good idea of how high in demand an item is, I will look at the offers on 5 or more most recent listings. Usually a good demand item will have 2 or 3 offers on each listing. However, it also depends on the timing. Timing makes a difference on a larger scale and on a smaller scale. For example, I am in Central European summertime, 6 hours ahead of Eastern time. So during the day, there are like only 5,000 players online, and there's not that many good trades. But during the night, for me, I get a lot of good trade. So you kind of work around the American time zones, because that's when most players are online and active. But during other times, there is obviously still chances of getting a good trade. But on a larger scale, I'm referring to seasons. So as probably most people know, during summer times, the items are really expensive, and during winter, they are more affordable. And during fall, all the items are decreasing, and during spring is the best time to buy items, because you get to see the items increase. So essentially, if you want to buy an item to keep it, you should buy it during winter, because you will then get it for the cheapest price. If you buy an item to keep it during summer, you will likely not get a profit off of it if you want to sell it eventually. Because while items increase again the next summer, they will not reach the same value they did this summer. For example, Steampunk corset. It came out in 2022, I think. And the summer of 2023, it was going for 180,000 at average and almost above 200,000 at its highest point. During the winter of 2023/2024, you were able to get the corset for 80,000 or 90,000. While it did increase again during summer, it didn't match up in value to the previous year, so it's likely not going to reach the same value again next year. The values do match this season, but the values are always slightly decreasing. While it's always changing and this won't always work, on screen you will now see my tips for when to buy and sell stuff. This last part I didn't know where to add, so I'm gonna say it here. For most efficiency, I use Tradery only to sell stuff, and I server hop and trade in the trading hub to buy stuff. For Halo specifically, I also try to buy them in the trading hub, but then to sell them, I go to Leah Ash's private server or I sell them on Tradery. I use a variety of Discord servers to sell items, including Bee's Little Beans, Shion's Royal Palace, Starlight Symphonies, and the Tradery Discord server. Like I mentioned before, I also use Leah Ash's private server. To find this, you just have to search for Not Leah, go to her group called Ash Army, and click the private server link in the group chat. Quick disclaimer, she doesn't join this server, we as a community just use it for trading. A big part of my diamond count is also my levels, so I do make sure to do some quests between servers, and I regularly also just level farm because it's fun. But I also want to mention that I have been playing the game for almost 6 years, so my riches just built up over time. Even if you are a pro at trading and are super lucky, it will still take time to make up a lot of diamonds. However, if you like doing it and you do it enough, it will begin to build up and you will find that it's not that difficult. I also want to record a video where I show how to profit trade on an alt account and on my main account, so that you can see the difference between an already quote-unquote rich account and a less rich account. I'm unsure how interesting that would be, but make sure to let me know in the comments, and I will probably end up posting it in like half a year because that's how consistent my upload schedule is.